flat to turnover, that kind of thing. It's in their Eternal plastic. These discs are made by MVP, but mint discs. I have a couple of mint discs in this bag. So mint disc bullet. Next up is a Thought Space Praxis. Really cool stamp if you guys want to check that out. Really dope stamp. Most of Thought Space's stamps are absolutely incredible. One of the reasons I love this company. And this disc is a very similar mold to the Bullet. They're both kind of my straight, slightly understable putters that I like to throw. And the reason I like throwing understable putters again is for that hyzer flip. In the woods, a hyzer flip with a putter or a slow turn with a putter, immensely important. And these feel great forehand, backhand. I can throw these touch any forehand shots, but both those discs are great. Moving on to some more stable stuff. So next up I have two Infinite discs. So the first one I'm going to show you is really cool. It's a Ghost Stamp Tomb, so black on black. Numbers are 3401. It glides incredibly. I've only had this in the bag for about a day, but I really like the way it flies. I got a chance to throw it, so lots of glide on this thing. I feel like I can throw it on hyzer, in a headwind, and it'll flip up and glide forever. In a tailwind, I feel like I could put it on a slight ante and get 320 out of it maybe. Just a lot of glide, really great putter. That's the Infinite Disc iBlend Tomb Ghost Stamp black on black. Really love that disc. Next up I have a Drew Gibson Ruin, another great stamp here from Infinite that time. See if you can make out the Drew Gibson up at the top there. But really cool stamp, really great disc, very overstable. I have a lot of overstable putters in the bag, but this one I'm still getting used to. It has a little more glide than some of my other overstable putters, but good for forehand, good for backhand. I'm still getting there with the forehand with putters, but I'm feeling pretty confident throwing this thing flat with a putter. And Drew Gibson, on Drew Gibson's channel, he talks about how this took the zone out of his bag. It's not quite, it's not nearly as overstable as a zone for me, but I still love this disc. Definitely staying in the bag for the immediate future. Now my really overstable putters. So I have three very overstable putters in the bag. I have two Pro Discus Jokeries. Great throwing putter, very stable. You can throw it turnover, you can throw it flat and fade, you can throw it on hyzer and just get a pushing hyzer. These things are very overstable, but they have a lot of glide. They're great, I love them. They feel amazing. The Pro Discus Jokery. I've got a clear sparkle one and almost like a splatter thing there. So Pro Discus Jokery. Last putter in the bag. Something I'm really liking, very similar to a Pig from Innova, is the Yikun Disc Hammer. I put twin on the front of that one because my brother also has a hammer. That's the disc he actually got his first ace with. But the Yikun Disc Hammer, it's like board flat, as you can see. It's just got an overstable flight. Similar to a Pig, a Harp, maybe slightly slower than both of those, but really trust it with my forehand. I'm probably never gonna throw this backhand, but I really trust it forehand. I love the flight of it forehand. It just feels like a slower zone, but absolutely incredible disc from Yikun Disc. And now we're moving on to the mid-ranges. So, I get these out. I'm gonna put this one in mids because I think it flies kind of like a mid. All right, so mid-ranges, I'm gonna start with most understable to most overstable. So here we go. First up, Gateway Mystic. Gateways, this disc is incredible. It's very flippy, but it doesn't roll for me, which is nice. So I like having a disc that I can throw flat and get it to turn and keep turning and keep turning. To me, it feels better than like what a Fuse would feel like for Trilogy, if you throw Trilogy, or like a Meteor for Discraft, it feels better. It's got it's very flat. It's a very shallow rim disc, so it feels very comfortable throwing it, even forehand, which I won't hardly ever do with this thing, but it does feel comfortable to do it. It's just really incredible disc. Numbers are 5, 5, -3, 0. It flies slightly more stable than those numbers for me, but the Gateway Mystic, absolutely love that disc. Next up, we have, the AGL Magnolia. This is a glow magnolia in their base plastic, and as you can see, I've beaten it up pretty bad. It does still fly, it's just slightly flippier than a regular magnolia. Regular magnolia is pretty stable in terms of flight, but this one is mainly I use for glow rounds, and it's a very straight disc right now. It just goes dead straight, won't turn, won't really fade at the end, it just goes dead straight. AGL Magnolia, great disc. I've thrown the premium plastic version of this, I absolutely love it, but that's the AGL Magnolia. Next up, probably my favorite mid in the bag. I have a couple of favorites, honestly. I love my bag right now, but this is probably up there as one of the top, if not the top one, and that's the DGA Rift. And as you can see, the stamp there is like a rose petal stamp. It's kind of similar to like a TI plastic from Discraft. It's got a little bit of give to it, but it's pretty firm. This is probably my favorite disc or favorite mid in the bag because it's like a Buzz, but to me, I feel much more comfortable forehanding this than the Buzz. It's got a very flat profile. Again, I really like flat profiles because that way I feel comfortable forehand or backhand. But the Rift it's a perfect hyzer flip to flat, or if I want to put in a lot of hyzer, get kind of a pushing hyzer, or a forward pushing fade. This is the perfect disc for that. DGA Rift, I actually throw the crap out of this. I can throw this thing pretty far, but one of my favorite discs in the bag right now. DGA Rift. Next up, the Gateway Discs Warrior, an overstable 5403 from Gateway. This again in the diamond plastic. Again, Gateway's made a lot of noise in my bag. You're gonna see a lot of Gateway in this bag, but the Warrior is just so good. Forehand, backhand. It's not as overstable as the numbers would suggest, because the numbers kind of suggest this is like a faster zone. My next disc is what I'd consider a faster zone, but the Warrior is great. Probably my favorite backhand feeling disc in my bag for overstability in mid-range. Just an incredible disc. The plastic feels great. Gateway did a really good job in this most recent run with eliminating the flashing. Not a lot of flashing on these Gateway discs, which I really appreciate as someone who currently has a blister on his index finger. The Gateway Warrior, I'm going to be throwing this all over the place. I absolutely love this disc. This is what I would consider a faster zone, and that is the DGA Quake. It's just super flat, almost like a puddle top, but it feels great for forehand, feels good for backhand. Absolutely love the DGA Quake. This is their limited edition swirl plastic for the GMC Green Mountain Championships for the Disc Golf Pro Tour 2021. I love this disc. I could feel comfortable throwing this on almost any hole. Feels great for, again, like I said, it feels great forehand, backhand. I could not say enough about this disc. Absolutely love it. It's a great forehand approach disc, which is probably what I'm going to do most with it, just because I feel like I like the Warrior more off the tee for backhand. But for a forehand mid, this is definitely what I'm going to be throwing. Last, what I would consider a mid in the bag is, again, another DGA disc, the DGA Squall. It's got like a clear sparkle kind of deal going on there. Squall, if you throw MVP, the closest thing I could compare it to is like a slightly flippier Crave. So like if I put this out on hyzer, it's gonna flip up and it's gonna ride a little bit. But the numbers are pretty accurate, 6.4, -1.1. I can rip this thing too. It's one of those things like exactly like the Rift. I just feel comfortable with this disc in my hand. Still getting used to it forehand. I don't know if I'm going to throw it a lot forehand because I do have some flippy fairways coming up that I feel much more comfortable with throwing forehand. But for backhand and for just something a little bit quicker that's going to get a little bit more of a skip, if I need that skip for like a forward pushing hyzer kind of shot, the GGA Squall is that disc. I'm really excited to have this one in the bag. Next up, we got fairways. I got a lot of fairways in the bag. Again, because playing in North Georgia, you're playing on a lot of wooded courses. So I'm gonna do the same thing I did with the mids, go understable to overstable. First up, my most understable fairway driver is the Mint Discs Sublime Plastic Freetail. This is basically my big time roller disc, both forehand and backhand. I've actually thrown some really sick rollers with this disc. I can crank it really hard, kind of just a little bit of ante like this, hit it on a pretty good cut angle and get it to stand up and go straight and then turn a little bit at the end. Really great roller disc. I'm working on the forehand flip up with this one as well. But again, a great stamp from Mint Disc. That Sublime Plastic feels great, looks great. Again, like I said, very little flashing. It's one of my favorite things about having the bag I have right now is how good the make of these discs. Very little flashing, all feel comfortable in the hand. That's the Mint Disc Freetail, which are actually pretty hard to find right now, apparently. My next disc up for fairways is my, wow, I completely forgot the name of the company, but it's Infinite Disc. It's the Centurion. It's got a little bit of rainbow stamp, red disc. I didn't write on this on there. It is a used disc I got, but it's lightweight. It's already beat in, so that means right now it's a kind of hyzer flip to turn forehand for me. I don't throw this disc a lot backhand. This is again kind of another disc I can use as a roller disc, which I really like having at least 2 in the bag. I probably have 3 right now. Really great hyzer flip forehand. This is probably my favorite disc to hyzer flip with the forehand. Very comfortable. Again, very little flashing, but I mean this disc is used, so a lot of flashing might have been rubbed off. But the Infinite Disc Centurion, it's 168, so it's a little bit lighter weight, which I think gives it that little bit of extra understability and a little bit more turn to it. So love that disc. Next up, we have one of my favorite discs and one of my favorite companies, and that is Legacy Discs 174 Rival. Okay, so this is again a used disc, but it's beautiful. It's very similar to like a TI plastic, but it's got a little bit of sparkle in there too. So instead of a hyzer flip to turn, like with that Centurion, this is a hyzer flip to flat, and then push straight and then fade. This thing's not gonna turn over unless I don't put it on hyzer. If I put it flat, it's gonna turn. If I put it on hyzer, it's gonna flip up and then push and then fade. Absolutely love this disc. One of the most comfortable feeling forehand discs I've had in a while. I'll throw it for like a hyzer flip backhand to fade, but one of the most probably best utility discs in my bag right now. I throw it almost as often as I can. The Legacy Discs Rival. Next up, is that right? Yeah. So next up, another Legacy disc. This is the Patriot. So this is a new disc in my bag, the Legacy Disc Patriot, 174 gram. Right now it's a tick more stable than the Rival. That's basically where it's at. 7.5 -2.1. I can throw it flat, it'll go straight and then fade. As soon as I bet if I hit a couple trees with it, it's gonna get understable and start to have a little bit of turn to it. But right now this is like my control forehand shot. Just throwing it dead straight, dead flat. It's gonna go dead straight, dead flat. Absolutely love the Patriot. It's their Icon Edition, so just a nice, easy Legacy Disc Patriot. Legacy making a big impact in my bag. Next up, more Legacy. We love the Legacy. and that is the Legacy Disc Icon Bandit. This is a confusing disc because you see the numbers on the Patriot, and it's very similar to the Bandit. The only difference is the number of speeds. It's a little bit of a wider rim, but it's significantly more flippy, which I actually like. So this is another disc that I could see being a roller disc for me, not very long. But right now, hyzer flip to flat to turn. The reason I put it as more stable than the Patriot is because of the number of speed, but it actually might slide down because that's how I kind of organize my bat, is in terms of speed than stability. But I really, really like this disc so far. It feels very comfortable. I knew it was going to be flippy when I picked it up because of the way the rim's shaped, but I really like the Bandit. It's definitely going to stay in the bag. Legacy Disc Bandit. Moving on. We've got 2 of these in the bag, so I'm just going to show both of them. Got the Mint Disc Alpha. So I have this one. You can tell it's kind of domey, right? This was dyed by my friend Lincoln Griffin. I'll talk about him a little bit later. And then I've got a Wonder Bread stamped, very, very flat Alpha. Basically, this is a hyzer flip backhand. This is a stable forehand. Love these discs. They do have really cool different plastic. I think they're Sublime plastic. This is their Apex, but their Sublime plastic has a really cool stamp on it. I might get one just so I can have it and maybe beat it in so I can replace this one, because it's 168. It doesn't really fight wind anymore, and I need a disc to be able to fight the wind. But getting a lightweight Sublime plastic which can beat in a little bit quicker might be the move for me. But the Mint Disc Alpha, really, really great disc in my bag. Very similar to like a Volt if you throw MVP, a T-Bird 3 if you throw Innova, but great discs. All right, next up, we got another. This is slightly less stable, slightly more stable than the lightweight Alpha, slightly less stable than the flat Alpha, and that's a Thought Space Votum. Again, a very cool stamp, kind of a rainbow horse. Very, very cool. This plastic just feels incredible. The stamp, again, incredible. And right now, it's a straight forehand 8-speed, like I was talking about. It's more like a beat-in T-Bird 3 or an understable T-Bird 3 than anything else. But or I guess a straighter T-Bird 3. It's just not very stable. So throw it flat, it's gonna fly flat. Throw it on anhyzer, it's gonna fly anhyzer. If you throw it on hyzer, it's gonna be a forward pushing hyzer. Great disc, great plastic, great stamp. Thought Space Votum. All right, only a couple more discs left. So first up, we have a Gateway Disc Super Glow Assassin. This is, so I play glow disc golf. So this one's got a little bit of flashing on it, but not enough to bother me really. And I love this disc. So it's slightly understable. The glow makes it a little more stable. I think the base plastic is a little bit more flippy than this, but it's something that if I throw it flat, I can turn, get a full flight out of the disc. If I throw it on like a high anhyzer, I get a full flex. The glow is really, really good on these, or at least in my experience so far. But Gateway Assassin, absolutely love this disc. I like the small stamp on it as well, Super Glow. But Gateway Assassin, great disc. Last fairway, and my most overstable fairway, and that is my Legacy Disc Enemy. This is another used disc that absolutely the most stable non-tilt I have ever thrown, most stable 9-speed I've ever thrown. This thing just wants to dive. All right, like I said, I have like a T-Bird 3 disc with that flat Alpha. This is like a Champion Firebird, a Captain's Raptor, a Dynamic Disc Felon. This thing's stable, okay? So I can throw it on an angle like this, hard, and trust that it'll come out. But I don't throw this very often. I'd much rather throw a flat apex or a slightly hyzered apex than throw this. But if I need something to get left on a backhand or get right really hard on a forehand, this is the disc I'm going to. Again, that's the Legacy disc. Again, Icon Edition Enemy. Numbers are 9304. All right, so going into distance drivers. All right, first up, another new addition to the bag. Absolutely love it so far. I've only thrown it a couple times, but it's incredible. And that's the Legacy disc Drew Gibson Vengeance. Check that stamp out. This disc, to me, flies like a Discraft Onyx. It's the only thing I can compare it to. It's very fast, very stable, can trust it in wind. I don't have to worry too much about, like, if I'm throwing into a headwind. If I throw it on hyzer, it's not really gonna flip up. It's just gonna push through that and hold that hyzer. Definitely great feeling forehand disc. Just everything I want this disc to do so far, it's done perfectly. Absolutely love it. That's the Legacy disc Drew Gibson Vengeance. All right. Now in my max speed in my bag right now is currently an 11. So the flippiest 11 speed I have is the Viking disc Ragnarok. So this one is at 171 grams. So a little bit lightweight to get that little bit of extra glide. This is, I guess I have almost 4 roller discs, because this is, realistically, I could definitely throw this on Anheuser and get it in a roller. But most of the time what I'm doing is, if I want max distance on a hyzer, this is the disc I'm throwing. This will flip up, turn over, ride, fade. It doesn't fight the wind great, but if I have a tailwind, I'm definitely putting this up high on Anheuser, letting that thing do that full flight, and I could probably push this over 400 feet, given the right conditions. My max is, like, if I threw the crap out of a disc right now, it's going 400. That's my max right now. But that is the Viking disc Ragnarok. Numbers are 11.5, -1.2. This is I think a Finnish company. So most of the time with this company, from what I've seen and what I've thrown so far with Viking, most of the numbers it's more understable than the numbers would suggest. The only one that I've found that is not that case is the Valhalla. It's a very overstable 12 speed, very similar to a Destroyer, but that disc isn't in the bag. The Ragnarok is. I also really like Viking discs, their logo, the stamps they do. I really enjoy this company. So, last 2 discs in the bag. This is taking a lot longer than I thought it would. But we have the Gateway Disc Sports Apex. We have Stable Apex. We have Understable Apex. This is the best feeling forehand disc I've ever felt. I've tried a Wraith. I've tried a Trace. I've tried a Sergeant. Tried pretty much everything from every brand. This feels the best to me. It's got a very flat profile, not a lot of dome to it. I feel comfortable with this one, throwing it flat, letting it turn. This one is more of an overstable one if I'm throwing into wind or something like that. But I love the way this Gateway plastic feels forehand. Nothing feels quite like it to me. So until further notice, these are going to be my main 2 distance drivers going into the future. But that is my bag. I'm going to get a couple throws in before I head out and head home. And you guys are going to join me for that. But what I like to do is kind of mix things up. I do have a blister on my index finger. So, and by the way, if any of you struggle with blisters from disc golf or anything, get blister band-aids for like the back of your foot and then wrap it around your finger. This works great for me because I still coach golf. I still practice golf in the daytime. Doesn't really bother me. Just feels like a second layer of skin. There's still a little bit of soreness when I press down hard, but for the most part, it just protects it. It feels great, and I feel fine. And we're gonna see that obviously when I throw. So when I'm practicing throwing here at Stealth Sports Academy in Gainesville, Georgia, what I normally do is, as you can see here, we got the nets up on either side, and then we have a little bit of a gap here to hit. Because I'm playing a lot of wooded courses, what I do is I just practice hitting that gap with different shots. So I'll do forehand, I'll do backhand, forehand hyzer, forehand anhyzer, backhand hyzer, backhand anhyzer, backhand flat, forehand flat, all that kind of stuff. I'm basically going to throw every disc in the bag. I'm going to show it to the camera so you can see what I'm throwing, how it flies, like the first 100 feet of the flight. And then we'll go from there. One more thing before I start to throw. I'm working on something in my form. So I'm working on coming through and keeping that hand kind of there, and then releasing, get a little more spin on the disc, hopefully add distance. And then the second thing I'm working on with backhand form is getting that disc a little lower, so I'm pulling through here instead of coming up high. I want to come through right here, okay? So those are two things I'm working on. I'm working on something else too. I'm working on clearing my hips better and get a little bit more power. Because again, I only throw 400 feet right now. Thought space praxis. Early. Mint disc bullet. Like that, like a lot. Pro discus jokery. Perfect. I'm gonna go forehand with the Yitun hammer. Backhand tomb. Backhand ruin. Backhand mystic. Magnolia, backhand. DGA Rift, backhand. Gateway Warrior, backhand. DGA Quake, forehand. DGA Squall, backhand. Mint disc freetail, roller. That's actually good. Infinite Centurion. Hydra foot forehand. Legacy Disc Rival. Forehand. Legacy Disc Patriot, forehand. Center cut, baby. Legacy Disc Bandit, backhand. Stable Alpha forehand. Early. Thought Space Votum, backhand. That was a bad, I'm sorry. I was throwing so good up to that one too. Assassin, forehand. Big Beef, Legacy Enemy, forehand. Viking Ragnarok, backhand. That was a good rip. Fingers starting to hurt here, so I'm just gonna go forehand the rest of the way. Drew Gibson Vengeance, Legacy Disc. Stable, Flippy. So what I do to practice putting here, because obviously they don't have a basket, is I set a chair up right there, and then I putt to it. It's about basket height. It's a little bit smaller than a basket, so it's really good practice. But we're gonna back up a little bit, try and hit some bigger putts. Switching to more of a spin putt, so you're gonna see me take it down here and then pop up with it. See if I can make a couple here. That's one. Cash. Low. Anyway, that's all I have for tonight. I have to go home, rest, alternate shower temperatures, and do everything it is you do after a workout. By the way, all the discs that I threw here today were purchased at Doggone Good Disc Golf in Buford, Georgia. The owner, Lincoln Griffin, great friend of mine. Always super, super helpful. They have a huge variety of discs. You got Innova, Discraft, Trilogy, Prodigy, all those smaller brands of all the discs that I'm throwing currently. Basically anything that you could ever want or find at a disc golf store, you'll be able to find at Doggone Good Disc Golf in Buford, Georgia. And they're great people too. It's a small, locally owned business, so if you're in the area, please support it. If you're stopping by the area, please support it, because they're really, really great people. And thank you. So make sure you check them out. They also have an online store. I think it's doggonegooddisc.com. I'll have the link in the description regardless, but check them out if you can or if you want to. They have a bunch of great stuff there. And Lincoln Griffin's a good friend of mine. Unfortunately, I haven't got the chance to play with him lately, so that stinks. But please check them out if you get the chance. They've always been really good to me, so I'm gonna try and be really good to them. Hope everyone enjoyed this video. If you want some more, let me know by leaving a like. Comment what you'd like to see me film on the disc golf course or on the golf course. And we'll see if we can make it happen. Hope you guys enjoyed. See ya.